Gravity Falls. Can we get like a pine tree on this? Like, can we put like a, yeah, there we go. Alright.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Gravity Summer, the show where for every day this summer I'm going to be posting a short review of a Gravity Falls episode until I finish the entire series. This is episode 3, season 1, Headhunters. This episode is a pretty good episode, like, overall. It's just alright, you know, it's got a few good jokes, it's got a pretty good story overall, it's not too bad, but the main thing that I really like about this episode is how, you know, like, on a first watch, and like, this episode, it's just alright, but on a second watch, after you finish the whole series, my god, this episode hits a lot different, and I'll tell you why later. But overall, let's just talk about how this episode is overall and the plot of it. So basically, Seuss finds a hidden wall in the Mystery Shack, and when they open it up, they find a bunch of wax sculptures of famous people. Basically, Mabel creates a wax statue of Grunkle Stan. And so after that, you know, everything's going great. They open the shop until they actually open it, and everybody gets mad that there was no free pizza, and then somebody cuts off the statue's head, and then it's up to Dibber and Mabel to find out who did it. Now, pretty great plot, you know, the plot is alright, you know, it's pretty simple, overall, I would say. Yeah, but this episode is alright overall. There's nothing bad about it, really, at least, like, nothing, that's not, like, just a little, like, nitpick. But yeah, overall, it is pretty good. The whole, thing, whole kind of, like, contest thing, that, like, Dipper is trying to find out who did it before the actual, like, Gravity Falls kind of, like, cops do. I like that, you know, it's a fun dynamic. The whole thing, of course, at the end, when the wax sculptures come alive, is very fun, you know, very creative fight scene, very great way to end the episode. I really like that. And, of course, the way that the cops, you know, like, spit water in their face when they finally find out that it was the wax sculptures was actually pretty funny. And of course, Seuss is always amazing in this, as he always is.
So what do you think? In my opinion, this is an axe.
I know why I love that line so much. It's just so good. I love that line. Also, this line is pretty funny.
Sorry, but we don't serve minors.
And, of course, the main thing about this episode, you know, it seems like, you know, like, just a regular, like, you know, like, pretty decent, kind of, like, middle-of-the-pack episode, you know, it's alright. What really separates this episode for me from, like, the pilot or Legend of the Gobblewonker, which I'm talking about so far, is the rewatchability of this episode. Because when you really, like, rewatch, like, this episode, like, because when I, like, rewatched this episode for this video, it hit entirely different. And I really did not expect it to hit so much different than it did on the first viewing. But no, it really is, like, a very different episode when you rewatch it, and that's because rewatching this episode, you know about, not to go into too much spoilers, but, like, if you're watching this show, I mean, hopefully, like, you know that I'm going to talk about spoilers for Gravity Falls, obviously, because if you've already watched the series, then you know, he feels, you know, really guilty for pushing his brother into the big, portal, and having his brother be, like, lost in somewhere in the multiverse for, like, 30 years, and basically, when the wax, like, replica of Stan, of himself goes missing, it really, you know, like, has, like, a funeral, like, for it and stuff, and, it, you know, like, on a first, like, viewing of this episode, like, it seems, like, really, like, it's just, like, played for laughs, like, you know what I mean? Like, it really is, like, pretty funny, like, that they have to have, like, a funeral and everything, like, for just, like, a wax, like, version of him. Like, it really, like, you know, it's just kind of like a funny, like, little joke. When you rewatch this episode, it's completely different, like, because knowing the guilt, that Stan feels for, losing his brother in the portal, you know, like, now, like, when when the wax, like, replica of himself, dies, or, well, doesn't really die because it's not alive, but you know what I mean, he, like, the reason he feels so sad about it is because it's the same guilt that he feels that he lost his brother. That is genius. Like, this is probably the first, like, genius moment we've seen in the show so far. And trust me, there will be many more to come, but even in just as early as episode 3, this show is already doing something that's, like, really genius and a really amazing storytelling. And on a first viewing, you wouldn't even know it. You would have no idea that, like, what this show is doing. And that is really cool. If you want to hear this whole thing explained in a much better way than me, then you can go check out the channel Nerdstalgic. They made a really good video about this whole thing, about this whole plot line. But yeah, there will be a link to that in the description. But yeah, that's my review of Headhunters. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Gravity Summer, and I will see you tomorrow with a new episode. See y'all.